This is KSL Sports Live, broadcasting from the Mountain Home Services studios.
Thanks for staying up with us. A dramatic win for the Utah Mammoth and BYU Bowl preps coming up later in the show.
Yeah, Sly will also join us as we look back on the career of Kyle Whittingham and his era at the U, and we look ahead to Utah football under their new head coach, Morgan Scalley.
Next year's Utah coach, Kyle Whittingham, signaling in the defense.
He's congratulating Kyle Whittingham.
You open your mouth, it's not like you just say something and it just goes by the wayside. That's not how it works.
You don't just take care of yourself. That's being an elite person.
Kind of hard to imagine this day has come. After 21 seasons, Kyle Whittingham announced on Friday he is stepping down as the head coach of the Utah football program. The next day, athletic director Mark Harlan officially announced that Morgan Scalley had been named Whittingham's successor as the new head coach. Whittingham has 177 career wins. That's the most in Utah football history. He's been with the Utah football program since 1994. He was named the head coach in January 2005. He would go on to lead Utah to 18 winning seasons in 21 years. His teams finished in the national rankings in 8 of those seasons. The announcement coming less than 3 weeks from the Las Vegas Bowl, which is actually a game Coach Whittingham still planning to coach in.
There's no one better to join us right now. Someone who played for him, someone who's covered him on this side of the mic as well. Stevenson Sylvester joins us. Sly, I'm sure there was a feeling it was going to come, so that's not the shock, but it's just shocking that it's over.
It's actually
because every year, like they say,
it's like the feeling's been here for a few years.
Death taxes Utah football, death taxes Kyle Whittingham, but now it's over. Yeah. So now we have a chance to look back at his legacy. Impact. What makes a good head coach, and why was he so great?
Yeah, for me, coaches is all about being able to motivate the people around you, right? But for Coach Whittingham, he's been coaching for 40 years, since 1984, right? He went straight in right after playing, but mostly it's what he's been doing in this Utah program. I felt like he was ready to take over after Coach Mack, right? But, they gave it to Urban, so he stayed patient, stayed resilient, and he got the job a couple years later and then took off with all that. But for me, it's the people that he's touched, that he's been around, right? He's been in this Utah program since Luther Ellis was here, right? Now he's coached a couple of Luther Ellis's kids, generational guys, Steve Smith, Jay Hill, Kalani's been a coach under him. How many people have actually been around him? All the NFL guys since 1994 when he was here that he impacted, right? And for me, the college coach is so crazy because it's the biggest part of a young man's life, right? The transition from adolescence until being a mature adult, and from 17 to 21. And it's something that Coach Whitt really loves to do. And he's been doing it for 40 years, but 30 years here, and 9 in a row right there. He's been doing it 30 years here at the University of Utah, and there's nobody better than Coach Whittingham.
We talk about the accolades, the amount of wins he had, the 9 in a row. He flipped the rivalry right into Utah's favor, all the great things he did. But why was he such a great motivator for these guys as well?
Yeah, I mean, for me, in my personal opinion, of being around coaches, it's the head coach has to be the ultimate motivator. And it's not just motivating players. You got to motivate coaching staffs to bring the best out of them. You got to motivate administration to believe in you, to give you the resources to be successful. You also got to motivate the community. He's done all of that, right? He's been able to do that by just walking into a room. Coach Whitt walks into a room, I'm telling you what, you're not going to question if the guy's tough or focused. He knows exactly what to do in his messaging and delivery. Me personally, there were so many things that I took from what Coach Whitt instilled in me into my future professional career, and what I still hold today. I take a lot of my stuff that I learned in college and implement them into my household rules now. Great. So, laps. Everybody's running laps.
He did it his way. There's no doubt about that. Real quick slide. You think he coaches again?
Here's the thing. you know, for the last couple of years, it's always been the story, right? You got the feeling, is it going to be his last year? And every single time, man, you feel it, and then he says, like, oh, I really love this coaching thing. And so, but for me, you look at all the stuff, and if Coach Witt coaches again, it has to be under some crazy things. And it's not just money. It's got to be situation. And I just don't see him going anywhere outside of the state of Utah. We talked about in 2008 how many teams and people wanted him after that, but he knew the trajectory of this program and wanted to stay here. So, no, I do not see him coaching again.
All right. You'll be back in a minute to talk about Morgan Scalley taking over the program.
4 straight goals here in the third period.
It's been a tough month for the Utah Mammoth, and it looked like it was getting worse in Pittsburgh until the third period. Don't miss what happened after the Mammoth fell behind 3-0 to Sidney Crosby and the Penguins.
It's the perfect Utah Utes.
Yeah, how do you define a successful 21-year career? We try to do that by looking back at some of those defining moments of Whittingham's career. And as we mentioned, we will look ahead at what they're getting with Morgan Scalley.
It was also a great week for BYU hoops, from a buzzer beater in Madison Square Garden to a 47-point home win Saturday. All that plus some great plays in high school sports and more coming up next.
You're watching KSL Sports Live.
Here's Klingberg. Fires, scores. John Klingberg capitalizes on the 5-on-3. Artur Shilov shuts the door. And they score on the rebound. The Sharks just keep on pushing back down low. Graf passes. One-timer. Celebrini scores. How about that turn of events? Cross Celebrini shot save. Shilov's rebound. They score. Toffoli ties the game. Klingberg around Crosby. Back for Celebrini to Klingberg. Scores. An unbelievable comeback by the San Jose Sharks.
Wow, I'm exhausted just watching that. On Saturday night, the San Jose Sharks were losing 5-1 in the third period before rattling off those 4 third-period goals and, of course, then got the overtime winner to stun the Penguins.
Well, this afternoon, the Mammoth facing that same Penguins team after coming from behind to beat the Kraken on Friday night. The Penguins, though, they didn't seem to have that hangover coming into this game. Just 48 seconds into the game, they already light the lamp. It's Justin Brazeau scoring to put Pittsburgh up 1-0. But in the back half of the opening period, they double it up. Brian Rust nets his 11th goal of the season. The Penguins are off to a 2-0 lead through the first 20 minutes of play. The Penguins' third goal of the game, it couldn't have come much easier in the second period. Look at this. Ryan Shea sends the puck ahead to Ben Kendall. Has an unevaded path to the goal. He converts for the 3-0 Penguins lead. The Mammoth had 11 shots on target in that period, but none of those made their way to the back of the net. Penguins goalie Sergei Murashov, 19 saves through the first 2 periods, and the Penguins have a 3-0 lead. In the third period, we start to see more of that Mammoth magic and that Penguins collapse. And it took barely more than a minute to get started. Nate Schmidt risked the rebound in for Utah's first goal. Then 15 seconds later, how about another?
Rebound loose, caroming in, they score again. That was all created by Michael Carcone, who caught a gust of wind at center ice, went supersonic, and then banged it past Murashov.
Yeah, the momentum has completely flipped now, and here comes the equalizer. Sean Dursey, his first goal of the season, tying the game up at 3, and they're not done. Utah on the power play. Michael Carcone getting his first multi-goal game in a Utah sweater, the 5th of his career, and Utah has the 4-3 lead, 4 goals in 7 minutes. Would the Penguins collapse 2 games in a row? Well, they're not done yet. Brazeau tips in his second goal of the game to tie it at 4. This game would end up going to overtime. The Mammoth have won 3 and have lost 3 in overtime this year. Which way will it go in Pittsburgh? Well, it goes Dylan Guenther's way.
Dylan Guenther, he's been the hero in these spots so many times. Dylan Guenther, he shoots, he scores, and he's done it again. Dylan Guenther, OT winner in the bird, baby.
Dylan Guenther's 5th goal in the last 4 games, and it's a game winner. The Mammoth outshot the Penguins 37-16 in this game. They needed every one of those shots to get the win. It's their 16th win of the season. They now have 35 points, tied with the Sharks for that second wild card spot.
3 goals is it's hard, I think, especially in this league, but we were able to get one, and we know that they were maybe a little bit fragile from how the game ended yesterday, so that gave us confidence, I think.
We knew we had something going. We just had to find a way to squeak one through and then build. I think building off momentum's real. You see them get one back and kind of have a little push, but it's how we manage momentum is really important. Decisions with and without the puck and in key moments are kind of what makes a difference. So I think for us to kind of step up in a big moment, down 3, come back, and then obviously find a way to push that one OT and then get 2 points, that's important. And that's something our group not only can find confidence from, but build off of.
So Dylan Guenther is the hero once again, and he's making a habit of it. Since the start of the 2024-25 season, Guenther ranks first in the NHL in game-winning goals with 14, second in go-ahead goals with 24, and tied for second in overtime goals with 6. He trails only Leon Draisaitl in each of the latter 2 categories. He has scored 5 goals in Utah's last 4 games, including 3 go-ahead goals, and he now ranks tied for the league lead in overtime goals 3 and game-winning goals 5 in 2025-26. And his 9 go-ahead tallies trail only Cole Caulfield. All that information from Mammoth PR.
Yeah, he's just super lucky player. Just kidding. No.
Shoots, he scores, and he's done it again.
And it's cool. I don't think I usually would have shot that one. Bear was yelling change, but it felt like they were just gapped out a little bit and could shoot it through the D, so luckily it went in.
He doesn't change the way he played when the pressure come up. He wants to be, he believes he will do it.
I think what's so special about Gunnar is he cares about, improving his game and getting better. I think that's so important. Is he's not satisfied with his shot, even though it is, one of the elite ones. You see him working on it constantly, and I think that competitiveness and that fire to continue to get better and really care about his craft is what makes him special, and I think that's so young. We got, a hell of a player there.
You know what? Maybe it was karma that pushed the Mammoth to victory Sunday. Some harsh weather in Pittsburgh today left this vehicle stuck by the curb. Well, some Utah Mammoth players come to the rescue to help this person out of a jam. Pretty cool. All right, well, one era ends, a new one begins at the University of Utah. Morgan Scalley, as expected, has been named the Utes' new head coach. A young boy who dreamed of playing for the Utes is now a grown man at the head of this program. Scalley has been on the Utah football staff for the past 20 seasons, spending the last 10 as defensive coordinator. During that decade, Utah's total defense under Scalley finished in the top half of the conference of the last 10 seasons. Utah had the #2 defense in the Big 12 this past season. Scalley had the coach-in-waiting title added back to his contract in 2023 and now becomes the 24th head coach in school history. Sly's back to discuss this development. You know Morgan Scalley very well. Why is he going to be a great head coach for Utah? Obviously, everybody believes that, or he wouldn't be in this position.
First of all, is there anybody else?
Right?
Like, you think about it, I'm thinking like Nick Saban, Steve Sarkisian. You talk about throwing all these big-name guys out there. But for Utah, this Utah community, is there anybody else? Highland Rams graduate, 2000. He's been in and around this football program since 2001. He's seen a lot.
His dad played there.
His dad, he's seen a lot, right? And he understands this rivalry with those guys down south, too, right? And I think that is just so important for somebody who's coming into this Utah program. Honestly, it's a seamless transition, right? And why I think he's going to be great for Utah is what he's had to learn from, right? He's learned from the best, Coach Whittingham. And more importantly, what's happened in these last 5 years is worth 15 years of experience, right? From the Ty Jordan, Aaron Lowe situations to NIL coming in, 2 Rose Bowls, the lows of quarterbacks, the lows of great offense, the lows of a terrible season with 5 and 7, and how do you come back from that, understanding the offseason. There's nobody else who knows this program, knows the administration, knows the community, knows the coaching staff, knows exactly what to do than Morgan Scalley. For me, my bet would be 100 million% that it's going to be this guy every single time, and that's who I would put in because it just makes the most sense. But I think he's going to be great because he just understands, right? And just like we talked about with Coach Whitten, how he had to wait his time from Coach Mack to Urban Meyer to Morgan Scalley had to wait his time, right? He thought he was going to have this a couple years, but Coach Whitten says, I don't want to quit, right? And so I think all that time was just great experience that Morgan Scalley has been able to understand what he wants as an offense, what he wants as a defense, and I just think this is going to be a great transition for Utah.
Okay, so now with the move to the head coaching position, he's got to build a staff around him. A lot of guys on the current staff are probably going to stick around with him, but there is the vacancy at defensive coordinator that he leaves behind. Who does he fill in that role? Who do you think is a great candidate for that role?
Man, I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, from me understanding Morgan from when he coached me when I was here to just being around the program the last few years, it has to be within, right? I feel like if it's not Jay Hill, I don't think it's going to be anybody. Because one, Morgan Scalley has been running this defense, not only when he played, but he's been coaching it to where he's had defenses that are top 15 in the country consistently, right? So he's had a high standard, right? The standard is the standard at Utah football for defense. And so whoever's coming in's got to know the system, got to know exactly what to do. If it's not Jay Hill, it's got to be either Colton Swan, Sharif Shaw, Lou Powell, somebody from within.
Real quick, do you think he calls the plays? Can he relinquish that duty?
Ooh, we don't know. So for me, in my personal opinion, that doesn't work, right? Okay. As we talk, especially at the collegiate level, maybe at the NFL level that works where they could do it because you literally have your organization, that's it. But here at the collegiate level, you got to, from recruiting to now NIL and private equity and all this other stuff going on, you got so much stuff as the head coach that you have to worry about, aside from play calling and all this other stuff. And you have to instill motivation into your coaching staff. Make your coaching staff believe that they can do it, right? And I think you do that by, you got to relinquish a little bit of control and believe in them, and I think that's what he has to do.
It'll be interesting to see who he chooses as that defensive coordinator, but you imagine everybody else is probably going to be retained. Continuity, as you say, is a very important factor in all this. Sly, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Cougars, Utes, and Aggies all going bowling this holiday season. You know, today's college football, though, there are some trends that don't sit very well with a lot of fans out there. Like this year, several teams opting not to play in a bowl game altogether, even after they got invitations.
Yeah, and over the past decade or so, we've seen more and more players choosing not to play in a bowl game as not to jeopardize a potential future in the NFL, and you can understand that.
Yeah, so BYU, after their 11-win season and an appearance in the Big 12 championship game, they got the invitation to the Pop-Tarts Bowl against Georgia Tech. The Cougars have opted into that game. But what about their players, especially those who may have those hopes of entering the NFL draft? Are they in or are they out for the December 27th game?
The vibe I've gotten is everybody's excited to play. I mean, this team, these guys like football. They like to play, and we'll show up and play anywhere, you know. Put the ball down out there in the parking lot, we'll come out and play.
We have great kids that want to play one more game together, and that's such an individual decision that they have to handle on their own, but I think we'll have the big majority of our guys for sure.
Even though the NFL is not in the immediate future of BYU freshman Bear Bachmeier, the question still comes up. Will Bear play in the Pop-Tarts Bowl? The Big 12 Freshman of the Year quarterback was injured on that opening drive of the Big 12 championship game and was visibly hobbled throughout the rest of it. But offensive coordinator Aaron Roderick told us this week that Bear will play in the bowl game. He's just resting this week from practice.
Boskevich to inbound. Right. Got it! Robert Wright III wins it for the Cougars. Don't know if that's what Kevin Young drew up, but it worked like a charm for BYU.
The 10th ranked team in the country, BYU, started the week off on the national stage, the basketball mecca, Madison Square Garden, where they delivered a show worthy to be on Broadway. The Cougars trailed 44-22 in the second half when they locked down on defense and they got hot on offense. Led by star forward A.J. DeBonsa, he scored 22 of his career-high 28 points in the second half to go with a career-high 9 rebounds and 6 assists in that win. But it was Rob Wright III who was the hero at the horn, scoring 3 of his 17 points as time expired.
Always choose the right. DeBonsa followed up the comeback with a monster stat line against UC Riverside Saturday night. This wasn't even fair. He finished with a team-high 26 points, flirted with the triple-double, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. He also had 5 steals and a block. Richie Saunders had 15 first-half points, and Alexei Kostic went 5 of 8 from 3. Cougars host Pacific on Tuesday. Man, that dunk was sweet.
Well, the Running Utes played Mississippi State in the Salt Lake Showcase Saturday night at Delta Center. The Utes started out strong, led by 10 at the break. Don McHenry scored a season-high 29 points. Terrence Brown added 20 points. but they ended up falling flat in the second half. They were outscored 50-32 in that half, and they were held without a field goal in the final 5 minutes. They dropped their 4th game of the season. They'll be hosting Eastern Washington on Saturday.
Utah State keeps winning. The Aggies beat Illinois State in the Salt Lake Slam at the Delta Center on Saturday. Mason Falls continues to be a force. 16 points, 6 rebounds, all offensive, 4 assists and 4 steals. And this wild sequence that led to 4 points, 2 steals and 2 rebounds, all in the 15 seconds. The Aggies open Mountain West play coming up on Saturday. He's still fighting, and he finally scored.
Hey, how about the Utah Valley Wolverines? They've won 6 of their last 7, including 3 straight games after they beat UC Santa Barbara in Salt Lake Slam on Saturday morning. Hayden Welling led the team with 18 points off the bench. Tyler Hendricks and Noah Tates both scored in double figures in that win. Next up for UVU, they'll be hosting Weber State on Wednesday.
Now to the NBA. After his first 2 seasons in the NBA, Keontae George was thought to be dispensable, maybe a trade piece in a future deal. But something happened this offseason. He grew up a bit, and now he's playing like the point guard of the future for this rebuilding franchise, averaging career highs in points, assists, rebounds, and shooting percentage. He's been amazing.
Landell picked up by Key. Under 5 to go. Ace Bailey. Wicked bucket.
Oh, my gosh. Ace Bailey dunk. Nice feed there by Keontae to Ace.
We could all watch this for a few years. Maybe Ace Bailey and Keontae will make up the backcourt for years to come. Bailey had 8 points against the Grizzlies, but 2 very nice hammers there. As for Keontae George, he had a career night in Memphis. He made 12 of 20 shots, 5 of 9 from three-point range, a perfect 10 of 10 from the free throw line for a career-high 39 points. He also added a career-high 8 assists and 6 rebounds to go with a pair of steals, playing like an all-star. His pull-up jumper with less than a minute to go gave the Jazz the lead for good in that 4-point win.
Keontae played a terrific game, start to finish. Terrific shot making, great reads, big free throws down the stretch. You know, our team is growing, and we've had some games where we haven't quite met the physicality of the game, but I think tonight was a good example of their capability to do that, especially on the road.
All right, so this weekend there were some great plays across the country in high school sports with so many state title games going on in football.
Yeah, there were also some great plays made here pretty close to home, including this shot in Cache Valley on Saturday.
Extra basketball.
You're getting
here.
Extra basketball.
Here's Greenhall, and it's going to be intercepted. He's going to heave it at the buzzer, and he makes it! No way! That's crazy!
That is Boston Greenhall, the Roy Royals, who beats the buzzer to beat Mountain Crest on the road with that 3-point buzzer beater. The Royals moved to 7-2 on the season.
Check out this tournament up in Idaho Falls. This is when good defense turns into a great play for the offense. Star Valley High School's Dylan Shumway drives, gets his shot blocked, but you saw there, after the Boise player blocked it, it bounces off the floor and goes up and in for the basket. That counts. That's 2 points for Star Valley.
And if they wanted to play a game of horse, then Star Valley just won. The Florida 7A State Football Championship was one to remember. Lake Mary trailed Vero Beach 27-21 with just a few seconds left on the clock. Lake Mary quarterback Noah Grubbs, who is signed with Notre Dame, throws up a prayer, and it's answered. Caught by Barrett Schultz, but he's short of the goal line. He smartly lateraled it to his teammate Travarius Brundage Jr., who finished the job. He scores the touchdown, and Lake Mary wins a state title on a miracle play. By the way, Lake Mary trailed in this game 21-3, and they come back to win their first ever Florida state title. We'll be right back.
Well, he's the all-time winningest coach in Utah football history, and when Utah fans look back at the career of Kyle Whittingham, I think they'll also see the greatest moments in program history happen during his tenure.
And it all started when he took over for Urban Meyer in 2005.
Over to football. Savoy gives it on. Back to Warren. Touchdown, Utah.
It was Kyle Whittingham's first official game as head coach. Urban Meyer had already accepted the Florida job, even though he co-coached the game. And, of course, Kyle Whittingham gets the Gatorade bath after winning that game over Pitt, Witt's first career win.
The BCS All-State Championship Trophy, 75th anniversary, and it's the perfect Utah Utes.
The 2008 season is the greatest Utah football history. Kyle Whittingham led the Utes to that perfect 13-0 record, culminating in the win over Alabama at the Sugar Bowl. The Utes finished ranked second in the AP final rankings.
There's the third interception. This is another pick six, folks. This is Hatfield taking it to the house.
We saw the huge momentum shift in the rivalry while Whittingham was the coach of the Utes. He won 11 of 17 matchups against BYU, including 9 straight against the Cougars between 2010 and 2019.
Time to present the 2021 Pac-12 Football Championship Trophy to Utah coach Kyle Whittingham.
The Utes' success under Whittingham in his first 4 seasons was enough for his program to earn their ticket to the big leagues. That invitation to the Pac-12 coming in June of 2010. It was a bit of a rocky start, but Whittingham's teams would rebound and climb the mountain to back-to-back Pac-12 championships and 2 consecutive Rose Bowl games.
Garrett Bowles, tackle, Utah. Devin Lloyd, linebacker, Utah. Dalton Kincaid, tight end, Utah.
Whittingham's legacy is also one that churned out NFL talent year after year. 56 players have been drafted from Whittingham-coach teams. More expected to come from this year's team as well. I wonder how George Kliavkoff's doing.
Is he employed?